do you make of the way Ahkello's played over these last few weeks?
He's a good player. I think a lot was made over a few plays that didn't go his way, a few things that a few mistakes. But I think overall, if you take the whole season, he's had a pretty good year. And everybody has those games that you want back and those plays you want back. But I think he's responded well and to the adversity that he faced early in the season, and I think that he's blossomed.
Is there a lesson for him to be learned? You weren't here, but last year he ended the year on a similar note, and then it didn't seem to carry over earlier in the year. Do you sense that he's sort of focused on that?
Yeah, sense of urgency, and not becoming complacent. And I think that he's learned that. And I think, the second year, you always hear about the sophomore slump because guys think they got to figure it out, and guys think, hey, man, I had a good end of the year, man. I got it. I figured this league out, and then you get back out there, and it's like, well, maybe I didn't have it all figured out. You get woken back up. I don't think he'll have the same thing at the start of next year, but that's a whole long time away.
Is that the biggest thing for any young player, is understanding the consistency that this league requires?
Yeah, it's understanding the sense of urgency, really. It's every day, every game, and just being able to bring that intensity all the time. Because you think after 1 year, especially at corner and like receiver, they have your tendencies down at this point. They know what you do well, they know what you don't do well, they know what you had success with, and they're going to try to put you in your most vulnerable positions the next year. They're going to try to attack your weaknesses. And I think that's what makes it difficult for younger guys to progress year after year after year. That's why you don't see a ton of young guys. Like, you might see them 1 year and they have an amazing season. Then the next year you're like, what happened to that guy? Or what happened to this guy? Because people figure him out. That's the hardest thing in this game, is to be consistent year after year after year and after year, because people are figuring you out.
Richard, I don't know if it's an elephant in the room or what you want to call it, but Frank Clark Monday night saying the Sherman era is over. Your reaction to what he had to say?
It's like a mouse in a room. It's like kids say the darndest things. It didn't bother me at all. It just seemed like a guy who's probably tired of hearing the same questions. Like, I wasn't even part of that game, and they're still asking him questions after the game about me. I'd probably be pretty annoyed too. We won a game, and somebody comes after the question and asks me about a guy who wasn't either involved in this game or on my team. And it's kind of weird, but it doesn't bother me. The era was over in my mind. Obviously, I'm here, so I didn't really.
Richard, I think he was asked about. I think the middle of the road comment may have gotten under his skin a little. I think the fact that now they're 8-5, and I think he was asked, "Hey, are you still a middle of the road team?" So maybe that was it.
Oh, it could have been. I didn't hear the questioning. It could have been that. It doesn't bother me at all. At the end of the day, if in this league, if you don't end up with the trophy, then how great was your season anyway? We're fighting. We're struggling. Dealing with injuries, but. At the end of the day, it's only one team that ends with the trophy. Unfortunately, it won't be us this year, and we'll see if it's them.
On the mic'd up thing, you were aware that Kittle went over 1,000 yards on that play.
Yeah, I was aware the whole week.
Okay.
107. That's all they needed.
Are you dialed into everyone's numbers or what?
Well, usually when a guy's about the PR, you know what I mean, you get a personal best, then I'm pretty dialed into it. Like Defoe's already at a personal best, but 10 sacks would be phenomenal, and he needs one. And so we're trying to get him that. But, in these games, when you're fighting and you're playing hard, but, playoffs are an option, you got to find ways to celebrate your teammates' accomplishments. And I'm so happy to see him do that. Now he's 225 away from the record. And, that's the next thing on his list, I'm sure.
He's got Kelsey to contend with, too.
Right. And I'm sure Kelsey isn't playing around. He got a game tonight. I'm sure.
Aren't you away from playing wide receiver? Is that the story?
That's what I keep hearing, and it just never seems to work out where I play receiver. But we got a contingency plan that we haven't really drawn up anything yet, but we talked about.
Would you be more excited to play wide receiver or safety?
I'd probably be excited to play both because it'd be a new experience for me. But receiver, you got more of a chance to get in the ball and showing my skills, and I think it surprised more people. People look up, see me playing receiver, be like, wait a minute.
You played receiver at Stanford.
Right.
Did you make the right career choice by changing positions?
I think, when I look back at it, I think that I should have stayed at receiver. You know,
Because of the way the league rules are, maybe.
yeah, I mean, eventually I might have to go back, you know, late in my career, you know, shoot, you don't have to get hit anymore. You're protected in every way. Kyle was talking about, you know, you might have to go across the middle. I was like, well, shoot, if they hit me, that's 15 yards, and we're moving anyway. So,
Are you more of an X or a Z?
I was always an X, but you know, I can be dynamic and play the Z if need be.
Along the lines of offense, you've been in the league and back at Stanford when the tight end revolution was kind of starting there, and now you're seeing Kittle and Kelsey both about to smash these records. You're a student of the game. Would you consider the last 10 years to be the takeoff point for the tight end position to kind of morph into a wide receiver of sorts?
I think when it started off with Vernon here and Jimmy Graham, you know, even his whole court case where he was a receiver or a tight end, I think it started in that era. Probably Sean Payton getting it done, you know, splitting them out wide, making them more like a receiver, using them just like a receiver. I think that started, about 10 years ago. I think that was the real blossoming of this style of offense. I think the Saints have always been an open spread, like get in your face, throw the ball deep kind of offense. But Kyle's always run this West Coast, use the middle of the field, create lows on your hook defenders, and Kittle just seems to be the beneficiary of that. I think that he's designed more plays for him than I think he's probably ever designed for a tight end because he's so effective.
He ran a fly sweep a couple weeks ago in Tampa Bay. I mean, 10 years ago, imagining a 250-pound tight end running a fly sweep.
Right, yeah, it'd be unimaginable. But I also wouldn't imagine a fullback running an option, and I've seen that in our offense. So, you know, you got to expect the unexpected from them.
Your Seahawks defenses always seem to do a good job against Vernon in the matchups. I mean, is this defense, the scheme, built for taking out tight ends? Do you need a good, strong safety to do it? I mean, what was the key?
Well, you need good players, of course. You need good, strong safety play. You need good corners because sometimes your corners are matched up on them. It's hard because you just can't have a weakness because if you have a weakness and they'll find the tight end, they'll put the tight end on them. Or when you got a good back, they'll find him with the back. I think in order to combat that, you have to have good eyes, good hook defenders, and always be aware of where he is.
But behind the scenes, what's Marcel Harris done that's allowed him to play well despite not having any reps before this?
You got to give that to Halfley, the defensive back coach. That's they have this program with the young guys that they do after practice every day, and I mean I think it's put them light years ahead of where they would have been otherwise. He, DJ Reed, T. Moore, McFadden. All those young guys because they have to go through every rep, every play, and he's really, really tough on them. And nowadays they're freaking locked into just about every play we run, even the most complicated blitzes that we have, the most complicated zone pressures, they've been locked into because of his tenaciousness. Like he's so patient with them, but he doesn't accept them not understanding it.
So that session after practice, is it to go over what just happened in practice, or is it sort of a
It's to go over, it could be to go over what's going on in practice or just things he doesn't feel like they're strong in at the point. So he'll challenge them with the most difficult pressures we have that he knows they don't have a great grasp of. And eventually, through repetition, they'll get really good at it. Like last week, they didn't have the best week after practice. This week, it's like night and day. It's incredible.
After that last Seattle game, you guys talked about how the difficulty setting edges and some of the things like today's goal. With them going as heavy as much as they do with the sixth offensive lineman out there, how much more difficult does it make that, and what are some of the challenges in defending?
Well, honestly, it doesn't make it that much more challenging with that because, nowadays good tight ends block just like a lineman. So it's just guys getting themselves out of position. Guys being too nosy or trying to play two gaps and not just owning their gap. For Marcel, it was his first game, so some of the was just a hair trigger. You know what I mean? It was just a hair behind. He was hesitating a little bit, but the second game, I mean, last week against Denver, it was night and day. He believed everything he saw. So we really treated that like kind of a preseason game for him because he had no reps. He had never been in an NFL game as a starter. Seeing everything. So I think that the second game was a lot better for him. I'm sure this game will be a lot different.
Richard, before and after first Seattle game, you said it was just another game. I'm a loyal reader of your blog. You noted there was some emotion actually attached to that game. Is that all gone? I mean, do you think this next game against them will be more of just another game.
Yeah, I think it will. Because, just the nostalgia of seeing your friends and seeing the personnel and, all the guys that you've played with. And in a couple weeks, I'll see them again. We'll be out of the season. We'll be doing vacations and stuff. But it was cool being back in the stadium and everything of that sort. This time we'll be back home. We'll be grinding it out. We know how it went last time and got a sour taste in our mouth. So we'll look forward to the challenge.
Couple more.
I know you're preparing for the offense, but as you look back at that Seattle defense, specifically Bobby Wagner and what he's been able to accomplish this season and the season that he's had, obviously
Bobby Wagner has been the best linebacker in football, for at least 5 years. And I don't think he ever gets enough credit. I don't think Bobby gets enough credit. There have been years he probably should have won Defensive Player of the Year, and of course he was first team All-Pro and all that. But I don't think, I think when Kuechly won it, Bobby had almost identical stats to him a few years ago and just didn't even get a look. I think he came in like 6th in the voting, and that's not a knock on anybody else, but it's like people aren't seeing him the same. It's like they're almost spoiled by his production. And last week, he's impacting the game in so many ways. He's blocking field goals. He returned a pick 98 yards, and he looked kind of fat and didn't have a neck when he did it. But whatever, that's a different story for a different day. But the kinds of plays he was making, he had a forced fumble recovery in the game. A sack. The guy is just all over the field. He makes a ton of tackles and just. You've never seen a guy get first team All-Pro and still be underrated. If you talk about the top 5, 10 players in this league, I would expect him to be up there.
Very good. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sherman.